All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the NA Regional for Fall in number 2 here as we get into our lower bracket match to figure out who is going home and who will stay alive. We're back on the analysis circle. Once I was about to say desk, but there is no desk.
Is it even a circle?
It's a small
analysis line.
A concave. The analysis concave here, as I am joined, of course, by the luscious, the enchanting Dunk Train, as well as Gillyweed over to the left-hand side. How are you doing, Gilly?
I like the word luscious.
Luscious.
That's a new one, I think, at this day, on this day, probably.
On the concave?
For
it's a
sure,
new one.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, of course, we've got the lower bracket match to come here. We are going to have TNC going up against DTS. Plenty of acronyms to go. Dunk, when it comes to these two teams, in their first showings, to be fair, what we saw from TNC coming into the start of the tournament was something that was quite impressive going up against Murloc Geniuses.
TNC's match against Murloc Geniuses was definitely the more impressive performance compared to Dumpster Tier versus Denial. So against Denial, Dumpster Tier, they struggled a lot. They got 2-0'd, whereas TNC actually took a game off Murlocs, which even though, Denial also 2-0'd Murlocs, I think TNC just looks a lot better overall than Dumpster Tier did.
Yeah, I totally agree. They seem to be finally comfortable at a LAN, which I really feel like this is the first time we've seen it. Last time at a LAN, though, when these two faced off again in the lower bracket match for their group, it was TNC who was able to defeat DTS, who was at the time Goldan's game. Lots of names, lots of fun, but they were the ones who were able to win.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how they've kind of meshed and melded coming into this tournament, especially for TNC. Gilly, you were able to cast both of those series as a whole. Did you see any potential for Dumpster Tier Superstars going into this group as a whole from what you saw in that first series? Because as a whole, I feel that the group is actually quite well stacked now, considering how TNC was able to perform.
The thing about when you look at Dumpster Tier Superstars is they have a lot of people who in the past have been known for innovation and crazy picks.
Right.
Something like Cladius. If they're able to throw off TNC, then that would be great. But individual plays, from what we saw, not super impressive in my opinion.
Okay, and it'll be interesting to see, I suppose, what the map pool is going to be overall. We saw the Vikings were brought out by DTS, which is something that you don't get to see much of in America, but it was nice to see as well. We'll talk about that in just a moment, though, of course, as you can hashtag the HGC over on Twitter, and make sure to join in the conversations. Hashtag as well your team that you think is going to be able to win this series and move through this lower bracket, because it's pretty much do or die here, which is important. But back to my point about things that DTS was bringing. Things like Vikings on towers, so small bits of even further innovation considering the region, I suppose.
When you're coming into an event, top 8 in NA, you go to your group and you're like, man, we qualified 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Those are the teams that are more likely to feel they need to cheese a win. They need to innovate. Yeah. They need to bring strange drafts, because that's how they're going to have a shot to take down the big dogs, let's say. I mean, we saw Denial play some Medivh, but other than that, pretty standard, because they have the confidence. They came in, they know they can win. These two teams, I think we're going to see crazy maps, crazy drafts, because they both prepared for this event with crazy stuff, and they're like, oh man, now that we're in an elimination game, there's no more time to hide the crazy stuff.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that we're going to see that, especially maybe on the side of Dumpster Tier. TNC, I haven't gotten to see, I guess they just haven't been around as long as some of the others that we've seen for so long, like Faye being able to play some cheesy stuff. Cladius, known for it, Artanis, whatever else he's brought out. So I think that it's going to come out here for sure.
All right, well, we're just waiting on to find out what the maps are going to be here between these two teams, as well as what our first draft is going to be overall between them as well. But it's an interesting situation for both of them. You mentioned before that they kind of sit around that 7th, 8th, 5th, 6th tier, never really getting into the top 4 and trying to really make their mark. In this group, seeing how Murloc Geniuses have played so far, and the fact that TNC did give them a run for their money in their first series, and we just spoke to a TNC member to the point where they were saying, yeah, we're going to win the next series going up against them if we actually move through. Is this a golden opportunity for one of these two teams to even make a top 4 if Murloc Genius isn't looking as on point as they did in the previous regional?
Especially after Murlocs just lost to Denial, you know when there's a close game like that Towers game, it's going to feel so bad when you lose that game that you could have won, especially when you had multiple times in the game just really dominant positions, control of multiple bell towers, and then to lose that game in that fashion, it's frustrating, and it could very easily cause them to crumble.
There are different times that teams get tilted from certain games. Most of the time when I talk to teammates, though, it's not usually like if it's in a draft. They say, we lost the draft, nothing we could do right there in the game. But when it's something that comes down to that one play like it did at the end, it's so hard not to let that affect your mentality.
Well, still now coming into this in the first game, it will be Dragonshire to start things off. We saw that TNC, especially with Goku, had fantastic presence, we would say, with that first series, with the Thrall pickup. Is that something that we're going to look to here once again?
The Thrall, absolutely. I mean, he's been a monster on this map forever, probably will continue to be so as long as he exists in his current implementation. I mean, the Falstad is really the other question for me, because he's such a good top laner, and I wonder if... do you know who has first pick by chance?
It's most likely going to be TNC's map pick. They
I think
really like Dragonshire.
Yeah. So I think they're going to try and force the give us Falstad, or like you have to ban out the Zagara dilemma.
Right.
And I just feel like on Dragonshire especially, it's so hard for second pick because you don't want to give up Zagara, but you really don't want to give up Falstad either. And I think when you pick Dragonshire, meaning you have a second pick in the draft, you have to be ready for that.
Well, of course, here is Dumpster Tier Superstars here. Previously, for the most part, Gul'dan's game until Prismaticism was able to join them as of late after leaving Denial Esports. So, Gilly, who really stands out to you for them? I mean, is there somebody that you're looking to here to try and make the plays? What do you see when you see Dumpster Tier Superstars?
Well, in the last match, there were some missed things by Stray, so I'm hoping to see patience and calm from Stray now as he's leading the team. There he was all smiles, so I think maybe he's feeling okay, feeling better, even though they are up in an elimination match very soon. I'll also be watching for plays from Kona. If they're going to go for something like Ancestrals, relying on that, again, got to make sure that those are on point.
Okay. And then, I mean, looking here now at TNC coming in and looking better than they've ever done throughout the NA regionals so far. We mentioned it before, Dunk, when going in. That they've qualified so many times and they have been consistent. But let's get into the draft now, powered by HotS, as we do have that Thrall being picked up here by TNC to start things off.
No surprises there. I was going to mention Goku on Thrall was actually pretty impressive in the sets earlier today, and it's one of the heroes he's better at overall. It used to be he would play a lot of Zeratul at lands, and it seemed like he had difficulty dealing with the nerves trying to execute Zeratul on a land environment, whereas on Thrall, he's actually hit some really good flanking sunders. Yeah. He's had good positioning and lane control. So I really like that high prioritization by TNC, given that Falstad Zagara got banned out.
Not only flank sunders, but also preventative sunders. Whenever that they were up against a Zeratul, to follow that up with Void Prison to protect his team, it was well timed out and thought out. And seeing patience from TNC in their heroics really makes me happy, because it has taken a long time to get them to be to that point, especially at a LAN.
Yeah, to have that kind of comfort. It definitely looks that way. And top tier Superstars will start things off with a Zul pickup. And then, obviously, not only was there Thrall, but also Li Ming on the other side. So they actually started their previous Dragonshire match with Thrall Li Ming. And even just taking Li Ming away from the idea of synergizing with Zul is actually quite strong in itself, right?
Absolutely. And Faye has an amazing Li Ming.
Yeah.
We've seen that time and time again. So not only are you preventing the synergy, the heroic combo, if you will, of Zul Li Ming, you're actually denying one of Faye's best and or comfort picks, which I think is strong. But Dumpster Tier 2 Superstars has control of the rotation because of the Zul, most likely.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what else are they going to get in this game, and how are they going to deal with the Thrall solo top?
The role swap for Dumpster Tier has been very interesting for me in bringing in Prismaticism. Seeing Faye more on the specialist roles, which has long been not what she's done. She used to play a lot of like Abathur, but seeing her play Abathur and Vikings here after, like you said, having very impressive Li Ming play has been really interesting. With Zul, I think that'll be Cladius, and Prismaticism has been the gray main player, so I think we are still waiting on what Faye will play in this draft.
I am worried here that investing in the Johanna picks so early is just, you're putting all your eggs in this wave clear / rotation basket.
Yeah.
And I mean, as long as Team Name Change doesn't get behind, they have so much room to exploit your composition that's weaker at actually team fighting in the late game.
And that is our second meta ban coming in for the day from TNC. So they really just don't like playing against it. So overall, interesting little ban to come out. What do you think the dumpster tier superstars are going to actually ban out here? Well, Lunara is our answer.
Yeah, she's very good in the 4-man between mid and bot, and something that TNC was playing on Dragonshire earlier today, and also very difficult to deal with for a lot of the supports.
Yeah.
Plus, you have to consider Team Name Change has the opportunity to pick after these bans, so they could have very easily gone Rhaegar Lunara and then locked Dumpster Tier into playing either something they're not comfortable with or the Uther into the Lunara matchup, which is a nightmare. So TNC will lock in the Rhaegar. Just super standard support. I mean, we can't say this enough. Interesting that Ariel hasn't been picked up in this draft, even though she has been really highly prioritized in the rest of the matches.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's a comfort thing or trying to revert back to something that, I guess it's still comfort, but reverting back when you are unsure about that new support. But with Rhaegar picked up, it's potentially going to be the choice for dumpster tier superstars. But it would leave them vulnerable to not being able to pick up a cleanse, which with ETC and Thrall now, they might want something more like that with Uther.
And Uther gets picked up on the other side as well. Very rare we see even ETC get picked up beyond the second ban phase. Normally he gets banned out if he hasn't been picked up until that point, but there we go. There's the count.
Ooh, the Vikings.
Wow.
Well,
wow.
This is Dragonshire?
This is Dragonshire. This is EU.
I feel like I am so back at Gamescom right now.
Brilliant. I'm so happy. So this, in theory, should be a solo Vikings top lane. If Europe's anything to go by, I suppose. What do you think?
It at least answers the question of who's going to deal with Thrall. That's why I think it's at least okay. My concern is Team Name Change has no real way to do the 4-man rotation on the bottom side of the map. Like, ETC Li Ming is just not enough damage and wave clear, and they're playing against Johanna Zul. I feel like Dumpster Tier is going to get ahead and then just kind of destroy the map overall.
Yeah, use the Vikings just to stave off Thrall long enough for them to get a really big advantage structurally in the bottom. Always control that shrine. And then they can try to send somebody up to help get that second shrine in a Dragon Knight. And having Vikings means that you can put one of the Vikings in the Dragon Knight, soak another lane with other ones, and then have maybe even a split push or a very strong push with all the rest of the heroes.
Zeratul will be their answer here, so maybe just being able to rotate up every so often, help out Thrall. Maybe that's going to be their early game plan here, Dunk.
They can try, but they're going to be under so much pressure. All of their walls on the bottom side of the map are going to be destroyed. Like, if Zeratul leaves, even if he gets to the top and kills a Viking, it's not like picking off a regular hero.
Yep.
It's not like you picked off that top lane Zagara and suddenly she loses all her pressure and she's missing experience. You pick off an Eric or a Balog, big deal. They're still soaking, they can still contest the shrine. It's just not the same level of impact.
I love the fact that we're seeing Dumpster Tier superstars try and bring out the Vikings, even on some of the more unconventional locations and maps, etc. But I do share your same concerns. What about you, Gilly? Is it something that is a little bit concerning to you as well, or?
TNC likes to play this double melee assassin style on Dragonshire, but I absolutely agree about Zul and Johanna, the wave clear, being so vastly in favor of DTS. The only thing I can think of is maybe they're going to try to force some other kind of weird rotation. Sometimes you'll see teams do that if they just know there's no way that they can win the mid-bot rotations. Send people constantly between mid-top or something. Force your opponents to play your own game. And I'm wondering, Gathering Power Zeratul, please? Stacking versus the Vikings? I know, I don't know. It'd be kind of fun, though.
It's normally the dream. It's normally the dream,
yeah,
right?
I love stacking stuff versus Vikings. Like I was talking about Untouchable for Tracer earlier.
Yeah.
I just love seeing that because it's pretty easy to build those stacks up.
Yeah. All right, well, let's take a look at the lineups here for the two teams and who will be playing what as we go on to Dragonshire. Dunk, who are you going to be picks to play? Well, that was an interesting English sentence.
Indeed. Before this game, we were talking about Goku on Zeratul, and he has struggled on LAN with that hero before. And I feel like a lot of this game for TNC is going to come down to how well he can roam and take advantage of that cloaking.
Gilly?
I'm watching Cladius on Zul, but especially Prismaticism on Greymane. I feel like hit or miss with the hero so far, but has made some plays so far at this event, and I'll be watching out for that.
All right, well, thank you very much. We'll be checking in with you in just a bit. Let's get over to the Xfinity casting desk, and we're with Jake and Trixler to bring us the action.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the casting desk. And Trixler, we finally get to cast
Our
together,
first
man.
time in like 3 events, man. Yeah, I'm super excited for this, especially the matchup that we have in front of us. It's TNC being comfortable with all their picks versus the consistent and constant pressure they'll be having to face against dumpster tier superstars. It's going to be a good match.
I mean, Dumpster Tier Superstars, like, since the last event, they seem to be playing, like, almost every map they want something weird, like the Lost Vikings. And Vikings used to be really common here on a map like Dragonshire, but for a
Way
long
back in
time
the
now,
day.
yeah, it's been a long time since we only see them on maps more like Towers of Doom that are much larger. So to see Faye on this hero here, giving us the throwback, I'm really excited to see what she can do.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see Vikings solo laning as well. We have all 3 members in the very top right now facing off against Thrall. That will give her the power to deal with that Thrall that will be bringing the pressure. Now, the main story, already talked about by the analysis desk, is Goku here. Goku is going to need to keep up with pressure. If he isn't playing Thrall, I feel like the level of this game just falls down. Faye, barely getting away there with Baylog. She can send him back home, heal him up, watch for these rotations as they now start occurring in the middle of the map.
And now, just a reminder, if you kill a Viking, the experience given is significantly less than a normal kill. But still, being able to put that kind of pressure on, forcing one of the Vikings to go all the way back to base, is a nice small victory. The 2-man power slide forcing the pressure here. Prismat will get knocked back. The totem is down, and Prismat will fall. Great first kill coming out for TNC.
Yeah, this is the story with Prismatic on Greymane. It feels like very often he's a little bit too far ahead of his team when he's playing that hero. It happened a ton in the qualifiers. He's got to make sure to keep that in check, especially in a tournament scenario. Here we are, though. Who do you think will win? Hashtag HGC. TNC with 71% of the votes. I don't think I was expecting that.
That is a sizable, favoritism right there on the side of TNC for the fans. But Goku already channeling that first dragon. We do see the top shrine go the way of Faye. So that will
Here comes Justin moving on in, jumping on Clagius. The Bone Armor will save him as well as Icona helping out with the heals. Now that's another person I want to keep an eye on, Justin. I feel like he's a tank that is very, very aggressive, but has the awareness to stay near his team. He impressed me very much in the qualifiers, in particular with his ETC play and his Tyrael play. So we're going to keep an eye on him as he misses the power slide. Saray will be able to turn around the engage and start moving in.
Okay, right now Vikings doing their best versus that Thrall. So far, so good. But everything else pretty darn standard. Even with that first kill on the side of TNC, you can see the experience really is negligible at this point in time. Faye has to cast that go, 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 in even tapping the well to keep that Viking alive.
Yeah, Goku going for a full Viking Slay build here, really going for the extra cleave, and then of course that Gathering Power. Getting 2 to 3 stacks can really propel you into the mid game if you get it before level 10. But in terms of control, it's actually very interesting. Superstars, I felt like controlling the lanes a little bit better, but Team Name Change is controlling the shrines with this constant pressure.
Yeah, Faye doesn't have go, but will be able to slip away with both Baylog and Olaf. But all 3 Vikings are, well, the well's been spent. They don't have the sprint. They have to go back to base. Sprint might be back up for those 2 to get there, but they're just leaving Eric in the lane to be able to soak.
I do want to note that we have Team Name Change actually grabbing Vikings, or not the Vikings, the Mercenaries in the bottom right corner. What Dumpster Tier does, they clear waves very, very well, but the Mercenary control is a little bit off-putting if they don't have Prismatic with Greymane there. Having Rhaegar helping out anyone here, whether it be Zeratul or Thrall, they can clear Merc so quickly. So I like their adjustment here of getting pressure in their lanes. That way they can have some kind of level lead and they can stay up with the Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, it's been working out pretty well for them so far. The Shrines will actually just turn the tides for either side. Li Ming grabbing bottom, Thrall grabbing top. Actually, it's a double red for a moment, but Faye should be able to reclaim that with ease. Tiger?
He's getting it. The scythe. Just barely clipping Tiger JK there. Will prevent it. Hagnowen will go ahead and grab the top lane once again, but very back and forth. But I will say the life here for Team Name Change is surprising me, and I'm glad they're kind of keeping up with it. Tiger JK is in trouble, though. Greymane diving in.
Bone Prison with a follow-up Hammer of Justice, an easy and a very clean kill there for DTS.
Yeah, that's where that wave clear really starts to show how strong it can be. If you have someone lagging behind, you see Rhaegar there, you see his takeoff potential is just huge here for Dumpster Tier with Greymane being able to follow up on those bunkers.
And it's interesting to see Rhaegar going for this build. Like, usually we see a little bit more Wolf run, but going for the control side, having that Colossal Totem at level 1, could mean that we will have the full-on control at level 16. But the power slide in, that's going to be Prismat losing his life there on Greyming. Justing is very low in the front side, but peeling nicely. Bone Prism will confirm that kill.
Justin barely living, though. He is getting away with 50 HP. Here comes Goku and Dagger JK to go ahead and finish up the kill here. Srey is low on HP. Bud's going for it. He will not connect. There we go. He hits the orb. There's a follow-up from Goku. And now with a few stacks available here for Goku, he's starting to really charge up here as he moves to level 10. At the same time, we have the top shrine being grabbed. The bottom shrine is now pickable here as Johan's been picked off. Justing down here will be able to start getting his team prepped here to grab the Shire.
I think Justing had 102 hit points left with the Bone Prison hitting him, but the rest of the team zoned so effectively. But as I say that, they immediately lose Rhaegar again. And the moment it seems like they're in this good position, they overextend a little bit. They spread themselves too thin, grabbing both those shrines, just eager to get that dragon. But with these very short death timers only being 5 minutes into the game, you know, that's costly.
Yeah, you never want to kind of go full all in on getting a dragon, especially in the early game, as Jake was mentioning, especially with Li Ming, but had to back. He was so low on HP. Rhaegar wasn't going to be able to heal him up in time. He also needed to grab some mana, so bit of a mistake there. Team name change being a little bit advantageous, trying a little bit too hard to get this dragon, because I feel like they've been playing a pretty solid early game as they move to the mid game. Just try to be careful and don't overstep.
Okay, well, level 10 will be attained around the same time for either of the teams. The Dragon can become more of a threat to DPS because they have those Vikings. But Prismat needs to be careful on that Greymane. You mentioned that he overextends sometimes. Zeratul looking in the backside for a big cleave. The Void Slash has a lot. Tiger trying to tap the well, but the go for the throat picks up the kill. Divine Shield enabling him to go in safely, but Buds with the big damage from that magic missile almost takes him out.
I feel like Tiger JK has been playing way too much Karazim in the last couple of weeks because he's playing a little bit too aggressive, and Rhaegar doesn't have the mobility that you'll have on a Karazim, and he's seen picked off, what, 3 times now?
The only 3 deaths actually have all been Tiger.
That's very unfortunate here. I know he's here trying to prove himself, but man, settle down a little bit, put your belt on, chill out a little bit, and make sure that you're playing backwards. You need to make sure that you're hitting those ancestral healings, and you're not getting picked off by that Bone Prison.
A beautiful Iron Skin there from Johanna, allowing Srey to just walk through that power slide and be able to play safely. One Viking did go down in the top lane, so Faye is not at max power right now, needs to run that Olaf back into the action and try to get some presence. But we do have all these control ultimates, all these control throws on the side of TNC. If they engage hard onto this team like this, Prismat barely getting that Hammer of Justice to stay alive. VP has been spent just to secure this, but so is the Skeletal Mages. So 1 for 1 in terms of the heroics. The Mages won't be able to buy enough time for them to collapse on this.
Yeah, this is what TNC does very well when they have that double melee. Gilly was talking about it in the analyst section earlier. They really know how to get into a fight, and when they get into the fight and they're ahead, they are able to sustain that. The Sun Ring does get canceled out here. Gladius low on HP will slither away. Oh, but the follow-up from Thrall, the chain lightning will be just enough.
Yeah, and they're going to end up finding just about everyone on the side of DTS. Srey managing to dodge that wall just barely, but
still 2 pickoffs, and this means
the Sundering not going off too, that's their benefit at this point.
Yeah, really, the Sundering being available now will allow for them to get the Shire if they want to. We're going to see the Vikings trying to hold on to it on the top lane, but already Thrall and Goku are on their way to the very top here. They want to get a couple more gathering power stacks if they could, and 2, grab this shrine so they can finally get the first dragon. Uther has just spawned, and Johanna in the middle lane is going to try her best to flashlight and delay.
Yeah, I mean, if she shines that light in their eyes, it will be enough to push them away. Faye throws Eric down in the bottom lane. Eric has to use Go to run away. Olaf going into the top, so Faye's actually doing a good job stalling time here because Thrall's not on the point right now. So the Dragon has been held off, but 13 is going to be here first for TNC.
Very difficult for this team to grab this shrine with 3 extra bodies on the map. The Vikings really paying their weight in gold here, really keeping really dumpster tier superstars in the game. Any other heroes here, they just wouldn't have enough bodies to actually contest these shrines, but they're doing it just barely here. Once again, the control continues to keep rotating between both these teams as it looks like we're going to have to wait for another Void Prison to pop up so TNC can start fighting.
Okay, Wormhole on the table. We can see a little bit more aggression here on the side of our Zeratul player. And Srey is kind of in a bit of an odd spot right now, but can stall for a sizable amount of time. Iron Skin still at the ready and will cautiously just walk away and defend that. Olaf does get hit by that, oh my god, goodness, Doomhammer, power slide in onto Sray, popping the Iron Skin, but the body blocks, well, they deny you that from even mattering, and that's going to be another pickup across the map. 3 members went down.
Justin, keep me impressed, and there goes a Void Prison to try and grab the Dragon, but Iacona here to save the day will hit a Wave of Light, delaying this just barely the last Baylog, running his way to the top, trying to grab the Shrine as well. Goku's finally going on in, though. Prismatic is in trouble. There's a Divine Shield to keep him alive, but just kidding. Zeratul will fall victim.
Yeah, the Sundering got nothing done there. The Mosh Pit is good here, though, from Justin and Iacona with no D-Shield available. Use that to engage for the Greymane. Willem going down the resets there on Liming, one after another. That's going to be yet another kill, and suddenly it's 11-4 for the kill count in favor of TNC.
Yeah, 3 members going down. Now, do remember that Zeratul has lost all of his gathering power stacks, so that is a tad bit scary for TNC, but they could still try to contest the Shrine here. You have Hognolan moving up here as Thrall to grab that. The bottom, oh no,
Phase
another
everywhere.
Viking. Dude, she is microing like a boss right now. So going to go ahead and grab the bottom Shrine here, and already you see on the top left corner, everyone is beginning to spawn, which means they can move their way on in and start contesting.
And like, it's not even that. The Vikings are everywhere. They're reclaiming both those shrines. There's been a Night Camp here in the top lane doing damage to the top 4. A good amount at that when How thought he was, be able to enable his team to get a Dragon. Not quite the case. So although Vikings might not be super prominent on Dragonshire nowadays, it seems pretty darn effective so far from Faye.
Yeah, she's really keeping up with it. It was a bit of a surprising pick for me. I know when Vikings first came out, we saw the Vikings in the top lane the entire time, but it was a nice surprise pick that she has pulled out. Olaf will go down once again, but I really don't think Dumpster Tier cares at all right now. No. They're controlling the middle of the lane. They're keeping up the wave clear, and this is what Dunk was talking about it. Whenever any team fights are being won, TNC is just not able to capitalize because of the pressure. They need to get to a scenario where death timers actually matter in the late game for them to grab an actual Dragon.
I think the biggest difference with Vikings nowadays is they're all playing with play again rather than the longboat raid.
I miss the longboat though. That song.
Oh,
it's so beautiful.
We'll sing it together someday.
I guess, well, right now I'm looking at team main change right now. We're getting 11 minutes. I think around 13 to 14 minutes is where the death timers actually start to matter for when they actually pick off their kills. So instead of trying to force any fights, they're keeping up with the rotations of grabbing the mercenary camps, which are more important to them.
Look at the damage though. Leeming, ETC, they're going to have, just that a lot more focus on a single target. When they land that power slide, they throw out the Earthgrass Totem as well with Colossal Totem. It's going to give them just so much more engage power, and then VP to buy time with whomever else they want to seclude from the fight. Like, this level 16 is a huge power spike outside of TNC. Look at that, 3-man VP. What's the follow-up though? Hao's looking for the Sundering from the side flank. He's going to land it in. No, the Mosh Pit's enough. He's able to hold it. Beautifully done.
Greymane was absolutely deleted there. In fact, so quickly that Iacona, who is known for his mechanics when it comes to support play, actually misses the Divine Shield. It's still left unused here. So Greymane being murdered right away. You see all of TNC pulling back, grabbing wherever they can here, and we're going to see if they're even going to attempt to grab the Shrine. I feel like they're tired of it. They're just grabbing mercenary camps instead, deciding, you know what, we'll just try and push some lane at some point, because again, we're still at 12 minutes, which means the death timers are around 20 seconds, which is just not enough if you can't get rid of the Vikings off of these Shrines.
Well, I like this call a lot because, like you mentioned, they got the Bruiser Camp in the bottom lane. Goku soaked mid and top, and now he's grabbing the top Shrine. And they can all just, collide in on the mid where the Dragon will be available. And although the Vikings they can just throw Olaf down, it's actually a risk because Goku's hanging out.
Yeah.
As soon as he sees that happening, oh, excuse me, Hao. I see Thrall, I think Goku.
As you should. So right now you see Zeratul structuring around. I don't feel like this engage is going to be occurring
2 minutes under.
There goes the Goku though, moving in, going for that cleave. The Vikings though, arming their way in. Thrall will fall victim here to Dumpster Tier. They're getting pretty low on HP. If Leeming can get a reset, she can start to take people out. There goes an attack right there. Goku getting some kills up. TNC turning around. Bud's getting some engagements as well, and Justin sharking for another engage, but Stray is going to show up and try and hold that front line.
That's the scary thing of running Vikings against Li Ming. Those resets become problematic, and standing a little bit too far forward there, Iacona will fall. The orb connecting on Sray, but the rest of the team will survive. But we mentioned that Merc Camp there in the bottom lane. The Vikings ran past to gain control of the bottom shrine and then to help in the fight in the mid lane. And as a result, that's a tower down, 650 XP, and more on the way.
Jake, could it be the first Dragon of the match at 13:37? How elite here. 14 name change. Tiger JK grabbing the shrine, and now as the entire group will start moving down the middle lane here, they can start finally applying pressure on the infrastructure.
Okay, so it looks like the Dragon has eye set on the top 4, while they're going to split push in the mid. Mid wall down, they should take out that well as well, just to nullify any kind of sustain in the middle portion of the map.
Tiger JK here just going to be delaying as much as he can. Getting Greymane's attention is probably one of the best things he can do, especially against Tom, because he can shred really any opposing team if they are catching anyone off. And as I mentioned that, Sray comes in from behind, going for the flank. The Void Prison will actually just get Prismatic.
That's not a good VP. ETC is now in an odd spot. Power Slide had already been cast, but he managed to slip away. Kind of a bad prediction. If they had Snap just thrown out a Bone Prison or something onto that ETC while he was Power Sliding up, they really could have gone up there and punished him in that moment. But now, it's really just the VP that's thrown into the Nether, and everything else is on the table.
I think it winds up being okay here. As Tiger JK was able to grab the 4 in the top left, he comes in for the flank. He's putting pure pressure here on one of the Vikings here, trying to get a reset for Li Ming. However, ETC has been burned out. TNC Bud is in trouble. There goes Gil Neen to secure a kill on Li Ming and the rest of the team. Now moving forward here, Bone Prison will connect with Raw, but it feels like there is no follow-up, but still, they are able to take out a couple of members and slow down all these fights.
I've got to be a little bit critical on Buds because there's so many moments where he's blinking in with the teleport, thinking that he's going to pick up the kill, get the reset, have another teleport to move away. But in almost every single situation, he's not actually confirming the kill. You see those Vikings and you're like, juicy targets, I'm going to just go to town. But it's costing him a lot because in that situation, way overextended, Gilnean Cocktail topped him off, and it was lights out.
The Calamity effect, man, really trying to get in there and get those resets, but you're right, it is kind of hurting them, but there is good news for Team Name Change. They have been doing pretty well in this entire match. They are also at level 20 to level 19 right now. Whenever everyone spawns ready to go, Zeratul will have Void Prison, so they can force that fight. You're looking at Dumpster Tier right now, and they're just grabbing whatever experience they can and staying away from their opponents. Faye down here in the bottom left corner will be able to notice that Goku is floating around, but at the same time, looking at TNC in the bottom right, they're grabbing their own mercenary camp, so they see 3 people in the top lane.
Just looking at level 22 as well, I mean, the rewind for the Rhaegar, it's going to give Rhaegar so much just burst heal, so much control with those empowered totems. You just think of the amount of control he has in that fight.
Yeah.
Olaf will go down here. I mean, it's not even the end of the world. The Feral Lunge not even going to be used. They've realized that chasing that Olaf could be a bait, and they don't have eyes on. Everyone was rotating away, so Olaf does go down.
Well, the Gathering Power stacks continue to climb once again here for our Zeratul player. I believe he's at about 4 right now. So engagements here in the middle of the lane could be possible, but level 20 is here for Dumpster Tier as they barely creep their way back in the game. They grab the fort in the top right corner, so effectively we're in an even state. I will say, though, in the late game, right about now with the power of Void Prison and Death Timers, it's a little bit in TNC's favor if they can land that 3 to 4 man VP.
Okay, Sray did use Blessed Shield. Ancestral not getting the true value, but a 2-man, big damage going in, but ETC has been focused down. Death Moss trying to keep them alive, but how ends up getting focused down? Sray will fall on that Johanna, and the big damage, the resets of Li Ming are paying off, but with just Tiger alone here in the bottom on that Rhaegar, Goku cannot save him, and it will be a victory, just barely, for DTS.
Li Ming got 2 resets there and went for a third, and the third reset did not proc for her, and she was taken out, and that was a massive, great play there by Dumpster Tier Superstars, making sure to focus her there. The Void Prism, I actually think, kind of hurt Li Ming there. She went and engaged on a Viking to get a reset, and that's very unfortunate. Dumpster Tier Superstars, for free here, should be able to grab this dragon. You see Iokona just zoning out Zeratul. Now, this is 17 minutes. It is defendable. Really, the best place they could push here if they wanted to keep was top lane, but that's Death Bridge, right? You never push down that lane.
Yeah,
so middle and bottom fort become much more attractive, which builds more time here for Team Name Change to get into a situation where they could fight.
But now that we're at level 20, we're kind of seeing a bit of the strategy for DTS because Uther with Redemption, he died, came back immediately to keep that fight rolling, and while he was dead, he was healing. Vikings play again. Oh, guess what? Vikings died. Guess what? They're all back, and it doesn't matter. They just seem to always be there. And then Johanna with Indestructible. I mean, everything about this composition is... their late game is almost like the Resurgent style that we saw back in the day. This is like such a throwback game for DTS.
It's almost like they want Li Ming to get so many resets that she burns all her mana and can't get out of the fight. Falling straight into a trap. Well, Cladius and the rest of the team are finally grouping up and pushing down this bottom right lane, trying to get pressure on here. VP is not available for 10 more seconds, so you're going to see TNC wait around a little bit before using any engagement tools, but they do have Wave of Force and Sundering if they do find that their opponents are overextending. Watch out for Prismatic here. He's the one I'm watching the entire time here. He needs to play a little bit more passively, especially with that level 20 being available for him. There goes the Sundering, and he gets the Divine Shield, but it might be just a little bit too late. Beautiful Void Prison. Cladius trying to zone at the back line, but the main damage, Greymane, is killed off.
Yeah, Grayman is down the play again, being cast in the back, but Kona will lose his life. Redemption this time around is not going to be an option, and all of that focus on the Caladius will blow him up, so suddenly TNC, the ones in the driver's seat.
I'm looking at this. Can TNC win the game? I think if they do move towards the middle lane here, and they have, or the bottom lane even, they're both open right now.
They can get the
They
keep?
could at least get a keep. I'm not sure about winning the game here. They don't have any major auto attackers besides Thrall, but Thrall getting up on top of the core could be a scenario where he could get picked off. So I think they're going to take keep here and play it safe.
Yeah, we'll see. They might even go for the second keep with the window,
30
but
seconds.
they're looking for the core. They're posturing for the core, going around the bottom half, moving forward. Bless Shield not ready for 10 seconds.
going
You
for
see
it.
the blink forward there. How now immediately backing away. This is risky. Goku blinks forward aggressively, then back on in, but the shields have just now expired.
The Vikings doing enough here to try and slow it down. There goes a couple of resets though. TNC Bud using all of his mana here to focus down the core, and it's looking like it might just be a game, dropping down at 30%, 20%, 10%, and TNC will surprisingly take game number 1 against Dumpster Tier Superstars.
I mean, TNC is the longest standing roster in this entire tournament. This is their 3rd LAN in a row where they have made it here with this 5-stack. Whether, I mean, I think it was DreamHack Austin, then Burbank, and now here at PAX West in Seattle. And they're showing their synergy.
Yeah, the original roster working together, bringing it all the way to this 3rd regional, and they're doing it, man. Let's go ahead and check out what the analyst desk and find out what exactly went on that game.
Thank you very much, Trick, as game number 1 goes over to TNC. A good showing from them, to be honest with you, but it's always interesting to actually see how DTS is trying to play it with these comps. At the moment, they're having a bit of a hard time fitting this Vikings into their play style.
It really looked like they did not understand that the extra control over shrines they got from Vikings didn't necessarily mean they could get DKs.
Right.
We saw a really, really greedy rotation where they tried to send one Viking mid and get the DK with it, ended up giving up like 2.5 kills. And it's just a matter of, you have to know your team composition. Yeah, you might control the shrines.
Yeah.
But it doesn't give you a Viking. Don't get greedy. Just take what you can.
Right. Well, we can take a look at some of the highlights from this game as well here as we take a little gander into Dragonshire. And this was one of the later fights, actually, where we see everything on two.
The stacking of Zeratul into the late game, he lost all of his stacks, and I think here is where he has to abandon his team maybe to make sure to save his stacks. He had to do that once around the level 16 point. But being able to have them later on, he could just cleave through Vikings insanely fast. You saw it at the core too. He was wrecking FaZe Vikings.
Yeah, especially with the fact that you eventually have cleave, then rewind as well. Here's one of the later fights as well. And this goes all kinds of chaos, because at this point, checkpoint reached is available here to DTS Dunk, and the Vikings do actually have a bit of an impact.
I just like the 7-man death mosh. That was pretty much my favorite. But yeah, and the thing is, Dumpster Tier Superstars is so far behind in this game. They have 0 map control. Even getting all of those kills in the late game, they didn't even get a keep. It pretty much did nothing for them.
Yeah, and it's so interesting to see that happened to them, considering the fact that they had Zool and Johanna, two amazing wave clear heroes.
They definitely didn't utilize them to the fullest.
Yeah.
We saw in the early game, it looked like they wanted to fight. We saw Prismaticism go in on Greymane, and we were talking about this during the game. Their composition doesn't want to fight early game. You're playing into ETC. Don't go for kills. Just out-rotate them. You control the wave clear. You control the map. But instead, they looked for fights. They took skirmishes. And really, Zeratul just preyed on that.
He was going in and being really aggressive. Prismaticism was.
Yeah.
Another thing, though, I want to mention is TNC's synergy. They had Void Prison with a Mosh Pit follow-up right at the gate that was incredible. And this is, again, been the story of TNC. They have not executed synergized heroics like that in the past, Burbank specifically, and they are doing it here. I love seeing the growth of this team. It's incredible.
Well, our first map, our first time we've actually seen this map throughout the tournament so far is going to be Tomb of the Spider Queen, chosen by DTS, and it is a map once again where you can see things like Zool come to play here in America, etc. Probably not Vikings, probably one of their worst maps, so let's not try that, I suppose. As it's going to be, this is basically tournament life now for DTS, and I'm not sure what they're going to bring to the table here against a team like TNC, who, in my mind, has come on leaps and bounds from regional to regional to regional and is now looking in firm spot in this group.
this TNC has actually made this group a lot more interesting than I anticipated,
Yes.
honestly.
Yeah.
They showed up and really performed much better than I anticipated, and I don't think Dumpster Tier Superstars was even remotely prepared for this, honestly. So at this point, after seeing the way they played, I expect TNC to actually contest Murlocs in a rematch.
As for what to expect on this battleground, something in the qualifiers that Dumpster Tier Superstars were playing on Tomb, which is their best battleground, was double melee compositions. So
Right.
maybe we'll see something like that. Something that TNC is known for, giving them a taste of their own medicine.
All right, let's get into the draft then here. Brought to us by Oros, as we do have our Bands in and Thrall. Once again, for team name change, they know where their comfort is, Dunk.
They do know their comfort pick. That is clear. They have decided, look, we want Thrall and we want him bad. Picking him first pick pretty much every opportunity they get. Falstad is available on this map, and Lunara is also a hero
True.
who is insane on this map, and we'll probably see her here. Now, Dumpster Tier Superstars, I don't know. What are they going to do here? They've showed a lot of priority on rotations last game. I wonder if they'll try and stick with that, or if they'll look for more kill pressure this time.
Well, Li Ming is their first option, as not only has it taken it away from team name change, which they did prioritize with Thrall on the previous map and some of the previous series, but also just in general, she has good control over those turning points, Gilly.
Yes, TNC has 2 Li Ming players already that we've seen, so it's something that can fit in regardless
Yeah.
of what else they pick, which is always very valuable to a team. But I like that you mentioned Lunara because both of these teams have shown to play quite a lot of her, and we've been seeing her pop up a lot in this tournament so far. She is good at, with Nature's Culling, being able to, even though we haven't seen a lot of Nature's Culling, enable
True.
web weavers by taking down structures faster, or the defense for web weavers becomes a lot easier when you have her.
Is there any room for, say, like a solo Leoric later on down the line on this map in terms of a warrior? You see a lot of fealty until death in Europe as the kind of go-to to keep him alive because the lanes are so close and because it's always so close to fighting. Is that something that's a possibility?
It's always a possibility on Tomb of the Spider Queen. The way this map tends to work out, it's one of the maps where Leoric can get more value out of his die and revive mechanic.
Yeah.
Just because the posturing in the middle of the map tends to take a long time. So I don't hate it, but I think for either of these teams, you want to wait until you see a lot more of the draft. For me, Leoric is a late pick, take advantage of the double warrior opponent,
okay.
low damage, whereas like if TNC picked up Leoric here, Dumpster Tier already has 2 amazing damage to kill Leoric, so it's really sketchy for them.
Clarice, were you thinking like solo warrior Leoric, maybe solo support Tassadar, maybe even added a little Lunara to that? You're going full EU, my friend.
I wasn't going that far in my mind, but you never know.
I guess so.
Johanna and Sylvanas been picked up, so control over some turning points as well as that push power that we see coming out from Sylvanas is always... I always have an appetite for it on this map.
Sylvanas is quietly just one of the best heroes in the game, or not so quietly, I guess depending on who you ask. It seems like she's a hero that doesn't get respected and just goes late in the draft, and then you see Sylvanas played and you're like, oh my, that hero's broken, guys.
Right. It depends who you ask. I was going to steal your line from our previous NA. It depends if they're silenced or not, I suppose. But anyway, of course, we have Dumpster Tier Superstars now going to have to ban out on the other side. And, I mean, what do you even ban against that? They have a lot of what they already need, to be honest.
I wonder if they're going to ban... Okay, so they're going to ban Greymane. I was wondering if they were going to try to support choke Tiger JK, but they'll take out Greymane. They want to limit, especially Greymane and Thrall together can do a lot of damage very quickly. I like the Sylvanas here on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Sometimes when teams pick her up to go along with the battleground objective, they then get heroes who can't win an objective, like Shrines, for example. But in Tomb, it's very hard to deny a team from ever turning in. Most likely they're going to be able to get a turn in, even if it's late into the game, and you can do so much with Sylvanas with it.
I feel like this might be our second rotation ETC ban, which is also commonplace, depending... Oh, no, it's team name change. Excuse me. Of course it's Medic.
There's only one ban in the second phase, Kalaris. It's
Exactly.
Medic. That's the
just-
only one. There's actually, when it gets to the second phase ban, they're like, there's no other heroes in the game. There's just Medic.
There is just Medic. That's strike 3 for them this tournament across 5 games. So, nice. And then Rhaegar Muradin picked up here. Dumpster Tier Superstars just has a strong, very, very stable lineup overall so far.
They pretty much have one of the most standard drafts, I would say.
Yeah.
For like an NA, you know, there's no cheese, there's no weird heroes. It's all rock solid tier 1 heroes in their roles. but I'm not sure that they play that well on this map. This is one of Falstad's weaker maps. The global's not as effective here. Li Ming, she can be okay on the rotations, but Team Name Change already has Johanna, so they should control those pretty well with the Sylvanas in addition. And I'm just worried that this time Dumpster Tier Superstars maybe went a little too far away from the wave clear they focused on last game and don't have any of it this game.
Yeah, it's like hot or cold or blue cheese. You either like it or you hate it for wave clear. But they'll put Falstad in the top versus Thrall, yes. And there is another Zeratul Thrall. They're the ones bringing in a double melee, even though I'd seen it from Dumpster Tier Superstars before.
Well, they've enjoyed the Zeratul's success in the previous game, even though one would suspect it'll be a different build this game around compared to our Cleave Gathering power build.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wave clear is what's concerning me. Dumpster Tier have good poke, though, for stopping turn-ins. So maybe if they can get the first turn-in specifically, and then poke, get a second one too, deal irrecoverable damage, at least so that TNC is playing from behind for a long time. Maybe even force some mistakes, but I like where TNC is going, and it's obviously something that they feel confident with, this Thrall and Zeratul play.
I wonder what their support is going to be. Okay. I was going to say Uther is a little awkward here for them. It's just maybe not quite right in these compositions. Can't deal with that poke that you were talking about.
Yes.
So the Malfurion is interesting. We'll deal with that poke, but we have not seen Malfurion in a long time in North America.
Are they worried about something like, when you say Uther wouldn't fit too well, were they worried about something like a Lunar potentially coming out on the other side? I mean, it's a lot of ranged, I know, but it will be Tassadar to just couple up, so a lot of sustain, a lot of still control over those turn-in points as a whole.
I love that Tassadar last pick by Dumpster Tier. I think he's so good in this situation against the Zeratul, and he provides the wave clear that they really struggled with. It's going to make it a lot harder for Team Name Change to make rotations and make stuff happen when the Tassadar can always catch that Zeratul with the Oracle.
It's actually really funny, as we were mentioning Dumpster Tier Superstars lineup, it's like the super stable comp of the 4 that we initially saw, and then they add on a Tassadar, which is as 101 stable comp as it gets. So they are going to we are just going to play this as safely as possible, as cookie cutter as possible, to try and keep ourselves alive in this tournament. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. But I hope that doesn't mean they've lost faith in the Vikings.
Okay.
I hope it doesn't mean they've lost faith in their plans, because sometimes you see teams come in and they use their strategies that they've prepared, and if it doesn't go as well as they thought it would, then they go, oh no, and stop playing their own game. They start just reacting or playing standard, and if that's not your strength, you have to accept that and just do what you planned, even if it didn't work the first couple times.
Well, Gilly, looking at these two lineups as a whole, looking at what TNC has once again, a Malfurion as the healer for this. What do you make of that overall?
Malfurion adds to their wave clear by picking up Moonburn. Probably they'll still pick up Moonburn. If they want Vision, which is really good on Tomb, maybe a scouting drone, but I think we'll still see Moonburn from them. It's going to come down to Sylvanas, what they can do with Sylvanas. If they get really far behind and can't utilize her, I think that would be probably Dumpster Tier's best bet for trying to stop them and bring this to game number 3.
All right, well, let's take a look at the lineups here going into game number 2, as it will be Team Name Change going up against Dumpster Tier Superstars on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Dunk, who are we looking out for?
This game is going to have to come down to maybe not even a hero, but I just want to know how Team Name Change handles the early game. I feel like their composition has to get ahead, and it's going to come down to how they manage map pressure overall to get that advantage.
Gilly?
I'm watching Li Ming. I'm ready for some more resets.
Ready for the resets. Let's get into it then as we head over to the Xfinity casting desk with Jake and Trixler.
Thanks so much, guys. Now, we are going into game number 2. TNC Trick. They're up 1-0, but one thing we mentioned early on in that game was Tiger JK on Rhaegar.
Yeah.
A really mobile support. He died 3 times in a row. Now he's on Malfurion.
Yeah, Malfurion's a hero. It's going to require him to sit in the back a little bit, play around with Zeratul, make sure you're there for those heals, and make sure you're supporting your team. I think he'll be fine there. The real story for me is that they got Thrall once again, and Thrall is just a hero this team is so comfortable around. They can get those engagements they want, and they can focus down the targets they would love to. So I'm excited to watch and see how they play this out. The other person I'm watching for, Dumpster Tier Superstars, is Prismatic. period. He's now on Falstad, which allows him to play a little bit more passive. He can throw out a few Qs, make sure he's Mighty Gust whenever any scenario does pop out. But him on Greymane has been very devastating for this team, so it's very interesting that he doesn't have it anymore and will now be playing more of a range carry role.
Okay, well, just looking at the layout of the land, when it comes to this map, Johanna will be the piggy bank. She'll be collecting as many gems as possible. Justin will want to hold them, but look, they even zoned her away from all 3 of those gems, with Goku actually scooping on in. So that's not ideal. They want to put as many as possible onto that Johanna. It's kind of the same deal with Saray on the Muradin.
DTS is now coming back a little bit here in the votes. I believe it was 81% last time, now 55 to 45, so both teams believe that, or people are believing that both teams have a chance here at winning this game. The rotations begin to occur here in the middle lane. You're going to see JK just constantly keeping those heals on Justin so he can be that big bank that you were mentioning. Really trying to just keep up in these rotations and really trying to make sure that they clear these waves as quickly as possible.
You know, Tim, I'm really excited to see exactly how the Mouth does pan out here. He is going for that Moonburn at level 1, as Gilly alluded to, and Moonburn gives him just so much extra lane clear as you spam out those Moonfires. But the root and the ability to set up the root with things like Condemn to pull all those targets in could be super cool. And Malf is almost extinct in Heroes of the Storm competitive.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the Malfurion versus Rhaegar. I feel like Rhaegar, suddenly his trait becomes obsolete, because if he ever does dive in, you have a root right away and the healer is killed off.
Yeah.
Iacona is a guy that likes to dive. He loves to calculate the numbers. He never lets it can dive. Oh, Prismatic getting out just barely. Saray will rotate down. Goku is taking some damage as well, but with the rotation of his teammates, he will live here. But back to the point, I think suddenly you push away Iacona's aggression by just picking this Malfurion, and then if you land one root on him, Iacona is suddenly going to be sitting in the back the entire time.
And I'm just thinking of like options 2 post level 10. You think about the Sundering comes through, you follow up with a VP, you zone out another pathway with the root. You can only cleanse one target as Rhaegar, and the root, it's a threat. It's covering space. So it should be really cool to see this Malf unfold. Pretty darn even games for both teams going for those level 4 talents right now. Yeah,
the rotations continue to occur here as Jesting will lead the charge, and they're starting to really get a nice amount of gems available to them. You don't normally see the turn-in unless it's free until about level 7 and level 8. You want to try and work with your turn-in to be able to move towards level 10 so you get that power spike and try and poke down your opponent, get into an engage, grab a huge lead so you can start really taking the map and owning it. Goku is trucking around here, putting some pressure on Iacona, but so far, Clades is doing a really good job of keeping tabs on him, using that Oracle to his advantage. Also, the Psy Storm dropping on whoever he sees Zeratul near.
Well, the gem count just about, and it's actually severely in favor of TNC. 47 to 27, 20 gems up this early is substantial, and that's because of this big threat, this big rotation front line. Again, the Condemn going forward, the root always being this scary thing that you have to be concerned about. And that's, I mean, unless they can turn in, it doesn't matter, but in the grand scheme, if that's like a continuing trend throughout the match, that's really going to give TNC a strong advantage.
I do want to note the strategy here for Dumpster Tier is pretty interesting. What they're doing is waiting for the rotations to happen. Faye is trying to get some poke in around the turn-in spot, trying to hit somebody so they can starve out Tiger JK. And the moment Tiger JK gets low on mana, he has to back at home, and that's when they're going to move. In fact, they just moved in the top right corner, and they're going to pick off that Zeratul. Interesting strategy. Really cool they were able to pull that off, because that was something that's been building since level 1, just poking down that Malfurion until he backed, and then they got that kill.
Kona's able to retreat. So experience still pretty darn even, but the one kill giving a slight edge to DTS. Looking for those level 7 talents. Conjurer's Pursuit for Tassadar already halfway through because of how much rotating that does happen, getting the globe in each and every lane. But Buds will have the Haunting Wave back. Good preemptive Haunting Wave there.
All right, we're about to hit level 7 for our teams, and they are both dangerously close to a turn-in.
Yeah.
In fact, team name change will sneak it in the bottom right corner. Johanna moved down to help out the Thrall in terms of turning that in. Now Justin and crew are looking to push in their lanes here so they can get the absolute value out of these web weavers, get them pushing into forts. If you can grab 4 to 5, 6 towers around this time, you're in such a great spot. The normal objective is about 4 towers and maybe a fort if you have Sylvanas. And team name change has Sylvanas, so they can really push down a lane.
I like that we have Tassadar going for Scryer and Kala's Embrace. It's not a full-on support build, a little bit of the utility style, wants to be able to throw their shields out for everyone, full-on Oprah style, but still provide as much vision as possible when it comes to the goaltending over the turn-ins.
Yeah, and totally being able to keep an eye on Zeratul, you're totally correct in that regard, but it doesn't really matter here. Team name change is just pushing down the front line, using the real thing that Dungeon was talking about, the pressure that Sylvanas can bring to any battleground. Goku putting a little bit of pressure on Srey, trying to just get him away from dealing with that Web Weaver. He's not going to kill him, but if you can get him off there and get a few more shots of that Web Weaver, it feels good, man. The entire team now starting to group up, push around the middle lane here. You're going to see Iacona trying to hunt down maybe Tiger JK. If you can get a totem on it, maybe Li Ning can land those important combos and get a kill. Unfortunately, Tiger JK playing a little bit correctly there, playing near his teammates, and now everyone moves at the top, grabbing 2 more towers and giving themselves a nice experience lead.
Yeah, they'll have about a level lead from that first turn-in, but it is dangerously close here for DTS to get a turn-in of their own. More than enough. They've got 4 different members that can get the turn-in on their own. And Falstad flying to bottom will be pushed away from the Thrall. So good positioning here by Hao, just having the the clairvoyance of realizing that they might be looking for that Falstad fly for the turn-in.
Yeah, you're right about DTS now. They're in what you'd be the standard turn-in mode here, where they turn in around level 8 to level 9 to get a 10. We were talking about that earlier. They weathered the storm. Usually Sylvanas can get a 4 in the early game. That did not occur here. So now Dumpster Tier is in the area where the ball is in their court. If they get a turn-in, they'll be able to make up the experience lead that Team Name Change achieved here, and they'll be going to the mid-game actually a little bit ahead here. So you're going to see them sharking around, trying to find a pick-off so they can get that important turn-in.
Okay. Falstad has just been hanging out for his mat, looking for that Thrall, actually, looking even for a single-man duel, but Hao is dashing on forward. Multiple members rotating on in, but the entire team of DTS collapsing in. Justing has been zoned away, but this might give them the chance to turn in those 22 gems there. Falstad only needs to put in 8 in total, but the flashlight comes forward and stops it out.
No one from Dumpster Tier can die here, or Team Name Changes get dangerously close to hitting level 10, which would give them the heroics. Everyone is now involving. We see Thrall being picked off here, and Dumpster Tier will now get a slight experience here. That sets them up for a 5v4, and they're going to try and force this turn-in, and they will achieve it. This is big news for Dumpster Tier. They're going to be able to grab these Web Weavers, get level 10, and now they're in a scenario where I feel like at level 10, they're actually in a better position if Team Name Change doesn't hit a Money Sundering. They have reset potential, they have Mighty Gust, so they can really get isolation, also stop team fights. This is going to be fun to watch, but I feel like Dumpster Tier can really bring the pain here.
They can, they just got to be careful for that Sundering. It's their ultimate weapon, it always has been.
Now, Furion hasn't picked a heroic, by the way. I think it's going to be Tranquility just because you can get Ice Block at 13, you can really help your teammates there to allow something to retreat to, but a Twilight Dream Sundering Void Prison Dream would be beautiful.
I will see if they go Twilight. I mean, that would definitely be a really cool thing.
It'd be a statement, that's for sure. Right now, Dumpster Tier just pushing down the middle lane, using all their poke, really keeping Falstad, getting those auto attacks in, really trying to bring down these towers, looking for anywhere that they could potentially get an engage, especially on Tiger JK. He's probably #1 priority. If he ever oversteps, you're going to see the team try and engage.
Yeah, right now he's definitely still vulnerable, but once level 13's hit, he's going to go for that Ice Block, giving him a lot more flexibility as a hero in general. Justin just holding on as long as possible for that. The heals come through, the roots are beautiful, big wailing arrow to top it all off, and they are rotating on. The Sundering is still an option here for Hao, going in just on Muradin, the single target, but the Gust to push him away and the Ancestral Heal. I feel like that Sundering on Muradin, when he already was like, kind of slipping out of their shoes, or slipping out of their reach, was the wrong call. If he had just gone for the rest of the team in the bottom half.
It was advantageous, but I think they had a plan behind it. Goku was sharking around looking to get that Void Prison off, but the entire team from Dumpster Tier kind of concave down the bottom left, which made the Void Prison kind of hard to nail there. Now Tiger JK does move in. He will use the Twilight Dream, silencing multiple members. Void Prison does come out. Iacona will be able to escape though, but there is a reset as Malfurion will get picked off, as well as Johanna. He did it.
Dream. He did it. And its results were as expected so far. We'll see if he can prove us wrong.
They do have synergy in terms of representing 3 to 4 people.
I mean,
walking in and slamming R.
The double silence ult, like the Wailing Twilight.
But
that's super cool.
It's bold.
Oh, it's as bold as it gets. That is the bold flavor of the ultimate cheddar cheese. But I don't know if this cheddar cheese is. Well, we'll see. We'll see. TNC, they're in the driver's seat. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt to him.
Yeah, at this point, Dumpster Tier, what they do is they just make sure they don't group up too heavily. They make sure they're splitting out, and obviously never want to play near Rhaegar because Rhaegar will be #1 priority target for letting that Void Prison or Sundering, allow him to be isolated by himself and make sure that he's playing safe. And they just need to change it up a little bit. Never get into a scenario where they can be hit. And you see that already. You see Iacona and Fan at top of the corner. However, Prismatic overextended. It seems to be the theme of the tournament here as Srey is now taking damage as well. 5 members will be able to take out the Falstad. Everyone else is trying to get a turn in here as well, trying to turn around the entire fight, but the Web Weaver will be burned down, and TNC looking to engage once again. Goku going for the poke on Tacet. Arcadius will go ahead and dimensional shift away, but now this is a free defense here for TNC.
Yeah, I mean, losing Prismat like that, as you mentioned, kind of just overextending left and right, it seems, is so detrimental. We're going to have not only the Web Weavers pushing, and they're going to have a level 13 advantage where they can really just push and snowball 2 to 3 forts.
Yeah.
And guess how many forts they got, Tim? 0. 2 are super low, but with that loss, the experience has been evened out. TNC has reclaimed some control. Nice Stormbolt here. Haunting Wave still at the ready for Buds. It's just going to Windrunner his little Windrunner boots away.
Yeah, well, the Forsaken going to save him there, is able to pop that cleanse for himself. Goku, though, does get the turn down here in the bottom left corner, and TNC is now able to start turning this fight around. That pickoff was a bit painful. I do want to know the Sundering from Thrall was perfect. It hit Rhaegar as well.
That's great,
which
yeah.
means there's no Ancestor Healing coming out, which means they were able to focus down Prismatic right away. So watch for that always be happening. The linear shot needs to be important, and make sure that it hits Rhaegar for them to go ahead and isolate their targets.
And this is like perfect timing as the Web Weaver summoned. Sundering just came off cooldown. Wailing is 5 seconds away from being off cooldown, so they're going to be at full power. They are behind in terms of structural damage output, but this is their moment to try to catch up on that.
Yeah, they fake out the push in the middle lane, so all of Dumpster Tier will come deal with his Web Weaver, and they rotate the top left corner. And Goku will be floating around. If he's able to catch any target like Li Ning or Rhaegar or even Falstad, he's going to go for the opportunity, especially with all the heroics above. He's kind of the scout here. Everyone takes a safe route. Prismatic, though, going for the dive. There goes the Mighty Gus, but the ice block from Tiger JK was money. Falstad will fall here. Tiger JK going in for the silence, and there is the dream we were looking for. Stray in trouble as well. He will be able to hop around, but 2 members down here as Dumpster Tier will lose the team fight.
The 2-member Twilight Dream, you talked about the ice block being clutch, and then the body blocks to just lock that Falstad in place. So well done by everyone on the team, and even that Snap Sundering, just parting the sea, forcing him back and locking him in, finding the kill. Now we have a level lead for TNC.
I like the aggression, though, from Dumpster Tier. If they try to attempt that again, they should walk up there, try and throw off a Q to try and pick it off. Buds does get taken down, so a bit of a mishap here, but still, 3 forts being taken out is still an advantage here. They're closer to 16 than Dumpster Tier is.
Oh, yeah. By a decent
margin.
Falsta's
falling in, though, the bottom right.
This is a very dangerous thing. The root does come out there, but Stormbolt then onto Thrall. How going to try to sprint away Justing? Does he have the Iron Skin? Doesn't look like it, but you know, the root's more than enough.
Yeah, luckily Stray didn't have any mana to actually land a Stormbolt there and will be forced to retreat. Had they landed that Johanna kill, they easily take the fort in the bottom right corner, which gets them into a situation where they are tied up in terms of experience. At this point, Dumpster Tier, I want them to take a breath here, set up, get the map control, get everything pushing out, move towards level 16, and again, if they go for that Falstad dive once again to go for the Mighty Gus, I want them to fake out the Mighty Gus for a second, throw out a Q, maybe get a panic ice block from Malfurion, and then go for the Mighty Gus. But you can tell that team name change is totally prepared for that type of strategy.
Well, DTS gonna get the free turn in right now. Oh, as I say that, the flashlight coming out adjusting. Stormbolt does whiff entirely from Saray, but roots were spent, so that's even amount of control on either side. 16 is here for TNC. So this is kind of a situation where DTS, they almost got that turn in. The flashlight denied them, but now they cannot afford to stick around. And realistically, this should be a turn in for TNC.
Yeah, they're about to get the next gem, which will allow them to do that. I'm just watching right now Goku. Goku's probably the main initiator for me. He's the one that whenever he's flanking, it kind of initiates that TNC wants to go in for a fight. So we're going to watch him. If he's ever playing passive, it means that they're trying to get a turn in. They're trying to get the minion wave cleared instead. Because he's really the key contributor to really isolating that Rhaegar or that Falstad.
Well, this is kind of a big moment right now for TNC to see exactly how much they can get done with this full turn-in. They just dropped off all of their gems. Their bank account is empty, and 16 was picked up in time. They were managed to clean up that top lane, kind of even out the pressure of the lane, so the Web Weavers they won't be staggered, which is beneficial for TNC at the end of the day, but they are fighting an even footing. If TNC can win a fight, this could snowball out of control, or the Web Weavers could just kind of do nothing.
The Malfurion root does land on 2 people. They are getting some damage in here. Tacet are low on HP. Prismatic will be forced to tap. Stray taking as well a decent amount of damage as the vulnerability is being applied here by Sylvanas. Now, the middle lane, we will lose 1 tower, but the bottom lane and the top lane are finally getting to a point where Team Name Change can move over to that lane and start applying pressure there. You're going to see them try and grab that Falstad as the bottom lane because he can fly up and help out. In terms of defense, Dumpster Tier Superstars is actually doing this to the book, and they're doing it right.
This is great, yeah. I mean, if they lose 3 towers, 4 towers, it's not the end of the world. It's about the best you can hope for. But the VP is in. The damage on Stray, and Stray has gone down. No front line left. We do see Disintegration Beam trying to apply that big DPS in. Prismat does have to fly up, but look at how many gems are expiring. Claudius has to step forward. He gets most of them. Haunting Wave, or excuse me, goes out with that Dimensional Shift and manages to slip on away with most of the gems. And now Justin locked in from the force wall, but he does not care because he's just trying to get this keep down.
Yeah, this should definitely be a keep. The team just needs to be careful and make sure that they're not in a situation where a Mighty Gus can push 4 people away and leave 1 person isolated. Ooh, the turnaround Thunder Run though. Prismatic is going to be cleansed and Ancestral Heal. He will be able to retreat. Nice play there by Iacona. The rest of Team TNC is going to be pulling back, and they do defend the keep, which was...
I didn't expect it. I really didn't.
Yeah, I thought for sure they would be able to grab this, but the...
you take out the front line like that, and you know, you just put the pressure on, but no, well played.
Yeah, the threat of Mighty Gus was just a little bit too much. The team name change never actually moved on in. Prismatic didn't even have to use the Heroic. Just a threat itself.
So we've seen some cool Twilight Dreams in this game.
Yeah.
That was a situation where, like, if he had Tranquility, that was a dead keep because they have the stay power. Like, even if they get gusted, like, and they take a lot of damage, you just pop Tranquility and walk back forward because you have another 20, 30 seconds before Johanna's back up. But I really can't knock the Twilight Dream as a whole because it has done some great things for them so far in this game. And now they're putting all their focus on Stray, who does get rooted. They're throwing out the Blessed Shield, and Stray will go down. But Goku on the left side, hit by the Magic Missiles 1 for 1 in this fight.
Oh gosh, Murden is just getting melted because of team name change, grabbing that level 16 talent that gives a vulnerability on whatever target he goes on to. Prismatic in the top right corner is going to be forced to be dancing around. Faye trying to help out as well, actually landing some solid skill shots. Will miss the orb, just barely had that connected. That was going to be a dead buds. So nice movement by him, moving away. Now Tiger JK is going to try his best to tap everyone off here. Now there is a Sundering available, so watch out for the team here. We'll see if anyone gets out of position. No, the turn-in does occur here for Dumpster Tier, and this is a big turn-in for them.
This is a huge turn-in. Now, Muradin is only down for 10 seconds. Zeratul down for 20. All 3 forts are still up. And you might say, oh, that's great for TNC. Actually, in this situation, it's awful. It's a huge surge of experience that's about to all filter into DTS, and that's going to throw them not only even, but probably ahead when it comes to that race to level 20.
Yeah, gotta agree with you. In fact, Prismatic's looking for a pickoff here. Moves down to the bottom right corner. Buds was able to mount out and get away, but you're right, the forts are in trouble. They will be under stress very soon here as everyone's pushing down the bottom. Now we have all of the Dumpster Tier moving towards the middle lane here. I'm looking at Justin here. He needs to be the guy that sets up to, 1, block the shots from Faye here so his team doesn't get poked down, and also set his team up for a potential team fight if he does find any target that is isolated that Sundering could fall up into.
How is looking for that Sundering that you mentioned on the left side. Force Wall is off, is on cooldown right now. So, not going to take the bait, going for it. Midway Weaver does go down, but they keep the tower alive. Although they lost the fort, they keep the tower alive. And if, you know, even those small little victories like that, that's experience denied for the time being.
Yeah, Dumpster Tier, all they had to do there was dance around. They were going to get these forts no matter what they did with just the pressure from the map objective alone. Goku is forced to use Void Prison defensively. However, his team is nearby. Will move in. Justin does try to zone out Prismatic. Prismatic pulls back to the bottom right corner. Now we do have Murden being focused. There's the Ancestral Healing. Iron Skin is popped for Johanna, and she's going to be able to grab 4 people in, but she is going to be burned.
Man, what a close fight. Only Johanna goes down, and it's the situation where if that Sundering was over to the left, a few pixels more, and that target got knocked, the Muradin got knocked back to the right rather than getting knocked back to the left, that could have gone the complete opposite way. But with this one hero advantage, they're going for the boss, Drixler.
And there's no real major tools here to actually take away this boss. Normally a Sundering or a Johanna being available would be a key indicator to me that team name change could go in and fight. There is Twilight Dream, but they're just going to go ahead and grab experience here, which I think is the right call. I believe they saw the move in the top left, and you don't really want to force a fight that you could potentially defend. They do have Sylvanas, they can clear the wave afterwards, and they can focus it down. So instead, move towards level 20 and get your own pressure by the Mercenary in the middle.
So I want to point this out. You mentioned they still have Twilight Dream.
Yeah.
There's been 2 fights in a row now where Twilight Dream wasn't even cast. And that's largely due to the fact that Malfurion needs to be in the middle of the battle, not where he wants to be. He wants to be in the back line. It's such a difficult heroic to get the effectiveness out of. And 2 fights in a row where you're not casting heroic ability, It's tough.
Yeah, it is tough, but we do move towards level 20, which should give him some tools to be able to use that heroic.
Does he go the Bolt?
We'll see if he's going to be moving that way. He does have engagement from his team, so he might not have to do it. He does go for the Bolt, so he's all in on the strategy. In fact, Team Name Change, they're all in on the strategy to potentially get them into a 2-0 so they can move on to the next round of the tournament. Here comes the Sundering. Cladius is actually going to be able to miss it. Sray moves on in. Tiger JK is in trouble. He'll be forced to use Ice Block. Justin taking the damage here. Will be able to proc. Oh my gosh, the Twilight Dream does hit multiple members. They're turning it around. Rhaegar is in trouble, but no. Dumpster Tier support is doing enough here to focus down the members that are important. Thrall and Malfurion have been killed off. This keep is in trouble. Gladius going for the charge here. Watch for the Force Wall. It's up in 2 seconds. Can they get Justin as well? No, they will not, but they do get the keep. The entire team starts pulling back.
That was almost so clutch because we saw Justin was on his last legs about to fall there. Oh, Cladius will survive. Both the healers have the abilities thrown out there at the last moment. But the pressure in the other 2 lanes is going to buy a bit of space here for TNC. Unfortunately, though, they still don't have enough for a turn-in. A turn-in is going to be here on the side of DTS. Oh my goodness, they need to respond to this, though.
This keep is being obliterated here.
I can't believe they're going to let that go down.
Yeah, they're going to keep poking here because they want to make sure that that keep goes down because you're getting pressure on the bottom. Very helpful, and it kind of rotates the pressure coming in the top lane. However, Goku is going to be turned on. Prismatic now showing up. Saray chasing down Goku. Bud's in trouble at the same time. Will bolt away. Justin does get the Blessed Shield out in time to slow it down. Will he be able to retreat? There goes the push against the wall. I believe it procced in the last fight. Justin's trying to get away.
There it is. Okay. So he's going to be able to slip on out of here. Colossal Totem goes down. Force Wall in. The heals from Malfurion not going to be enough. Indestructible not at the ready. Oh my goodness. Tassadar with that prescience staying alive. Iacona barely survives himself.
Falstad?
But the focus there onto Falstad. Prismat goes down.
Saray keeping with the poke here so they can't mount up as that W continues to move between each member. Bud's going for the chase here. Goku is on his mount looking for Cladius, Iacona, or Faye. If they do get this catch, they can take him out. Murden does get caught by the wolf. There comes the cleanse here from Saray, but is it enough? The Ancestral will be money. He is going to be able to save his teammate, and 4 members still being up means that Team Name Change can't go win the game here. They're going to hold on.
Yeah, I mean, that was so clutch. Getting that heal at the last moment from Iacona because Saray had no mana. You see that Avatar's ready? Couldn't cast it. He had, just the mana was completely empty, so barely keeping them topped off is great, but they failed to get the turn in. They lost to keep in the process. Like, it ended up being a 1-for-1 keep. This is anyone's game.
Team Name Change are trying to grab enough gens here. They need 7 more so they can get the turn-in. Now, there is a turn-in available for DTS, but they're not in a position to be able to sneak that in any way, shape, or form. There's pressure in the middle lane, bottom lane, and now the top lane. This is Team Name Change's game right now as Johanna just spawns up. The defense here from Dumpster Tier is going to have to be on point. In fact, I wonder if they have to engage before the Web Weavers even get to their keep. Just because Sylvanas and the pressure she brings in the late game could be a little bit too much for them to hold it naturally.
I think you might be right. And this is tough because we're 4 gems away from a turn-in. Well, realistically, 3 more picked up here. So a single wave. Goku just picked up all 3. He has all 4 in his pocket. Justin will have to pop that Indestructible to try to stay alive. There's no Matt's appeal. The Gust going to push him back to safety, seemingly. So they're just going to run away from this fight while Goku gets the turn-in. This is not a good situation for DTS.
What was up with that Mighty Gust?
We've seen a lot of those.
I'm trying to figure out why he actually went for that. He just pushed to the top left corner. I think he was trying to get him slowed down just enough where they could follow up on the kill, but Murden had no Dwarf Toss.
I think he was hoping for the Iron Skin to persist through it to push the rest of the team away.
Gotcha.
And he just mistimed it a little bit.
Just a smidgen there. Unfortunate for Prismatic. Now with the turn-in, Team Name Change has, what, 4 heroics available compared to the 2 being down here for Dumpster Tier. They already had the lanes pushing from their prior push earlier, so Justin and crew will then start moving towards this keep. Justin needs to play a little bit safe here because he doesn't have his level 20 Storm Power quite yet. It's getting close to ticking, but still having the Web Weaver to frontline this damage and start working in all the attacks here could be good.
Too.
Oh, Goku in the bottom left. Watch out for him.
Yeah, he's just trying to keep that Web River safe. The catapult behind that is also a big problem because that will outrange the core. And that's kind of splitting DTS up as to, do we defend our core immediately? Do we defend the keep? But actually, their defense is rock solid. In the top Web River died to catapults.
I wonder if Team Name Change is getting to a scenario where they're a bit frightened to go in for the play.
It seems that way.
They're afraid to lose, it seems like. And when you're afraid to lose, you miss opportunities where you can go in for the engagement. Now, of course, Mighty Gust was available there, but there were a couple of heroics that were key that were down. Now, they are baiting this boss. Tiger JK set up for the situation where he can hit a really solid Twilight Dream if he does step forward. And I don't believe they scouted it out. Faye's trying to poke, but she's missing targets. Now, finally, with the Side Storm coming out and the Oracle being popped, Cladius is able to scout that out.
Yeah, this should be a free turn, and Kona's going to get it. Now we have Web Weavers going the way of DTS, so the ball is in their court. Every single heroic ability available for this next fight, but the lanes are severely pushed out in the favor of TNC. So these Web Weavers, they're really just going to regain some presence on the map for DTS, not an immediate threat to either of the two standing keeps.
Yeah, I think for team name changes, they have so many heroics here that they can play defensively if they need to. They can Void Prison to get away, they can Sundering to get away, they can Wailing Arrow if they would like. They seem to communicate to each other. Yeah, they have all these buttons to move away from the fight so they can start clearing these objectives if need be. And they also have engagements with Light. We do have Thrall coming in with the Sundering in the top left corner. Justine once again taking a decent amount of damage. His level 20 will be proccing pretty soon. There it is. Blessed Shield does go off. And TNC and Buds moving in, trying to get that vulnerability on Murden. Murden, though, is pretty healthy compared to the last couple of fights, so he's going to keep pushing the issue here. And now Johanna is going to be focused down. One member killed off for team name change. Srey looking for more.
Yeah, I mean, Justin is going super far forward. He's almost getting away with it, but now the stun going in onto Goku. That's going to be lights out for him. There's no chance. He's surrounded, and suddenly DTS are in a situation where they can end the game.
Yeah, they should be going through the top lane here, just trying to move away from any barriers to entry, which is the keep standing here in the middle and the bottom lane. They want to push with this Web Weaver in particular. Now, in terms of disengagements, Sundering's not available for 30 seconds. You have Johanna and Zeratul that are down here. This is going to most likely be game. You see Prismatic starting to bring in those auto attacks.
Yeah.
Ray leading the charge as well, trying to zone out that Thrall, who could be the real damage deal here on squishy assassins. Faye and Prismatic moving in, attacking the core.
The
Twilight Dream just hit 3 people, though. Tiger JK getting in. There's the Ice Block. Prismatic keeping up with the auto attacks. The call has been made. Go for the core. Gladius, Icona, Prismatic, all attacking it down to 55%, 45% as well. Finally, Prismatic does get caught here by Thrall. Icona needs to be focused down now. There he goes. He's being killed up. There's a Sundering. Srey keeping up with the auto attacks. Gladius, good at dimensional switch away. Can they hold the game? They can put down the bottom lane. They can go for it. They can go for the win. All they need to do is move down the bottom lane, and team name change can take the series 2-0.
I don't believe it, Trixler. 2%. The shields are regenerating. Johanna's staying in the top lane just to make sure no catapult approaches that core. The rest of the team, 3 members already in the bottom lane. They're methodically just moving forward. Li Ming will be up in 15 seconds, but that is not enough of a threat to stop them from collapsing in. There are 2 catapults here behind a big minion wave. I think this is it.
Yeah, this is game. Even with the security blanket of Void Prison being available for Goku, team name change will surprisingly take the series 2-0 and go on to the last series of the day to see if they can make it to Sunday. Congratulations to them.
GG's TNC. They move on to our final match of the day, and Dumpster Tier Superstars go out. The first team eliminated in the last regional event this year.
I'm so proud of TNC. This is a team that I was doubting coming into the tournament. I felt like they consistently were in situations where they're either dominating their games or they're losing hardcore.
Right.
But they had composure, they had synergy that they were pulling off. They're showing the chemistry of the synergy of the team finally coming together, and it is impressive. Great job to them, and straight up kudos. Even if they don't make it past Murlocs here in the next series, I'm proud of these guys.
The Twilight Dream is real.
It's the future, man.
I mean, that last defense where they had to hold on to the core, Twilight Dream on 3 people with that bullet. If he didn't hit all 3 people, the game was over
there is
for
actually
DTS.
A Twilight Dream right there, hitting 3 members. Tiger JK just being a snake there, slithering into the fight and landing the important Twilight Dreams, and his team, of course, always setting him up. This was a team effort and one that they pulled off flawlessly. Here you see the team really working together, getting those pickoffs. I love this chase across the map as we continually have Thrall working in these Sunderings and making sure to secure these fights so the team can move in and, of course, take the series. Now, there were some moments where Dumpster Tier looked like they could have had the game. In fact, if they had just focused the core, they could have won. There was a couple of mistakes there. I feel like Iacona was playing a little bit too passively. Granted, he wanted to get those heals off, but small mistakes cost Dumpster Tier this tournament.
We talked about that Mighty Gus earlier as well. It seemed like, you know, they thought they could get the focus on that Johanna. Didn't work for them. And that last hold here, very well played. We've got an interview with Jay Howe. Take it away, man.
All right, I am here with Justin. Justin, that was one heck of an ending, but I want to go back to game number 1. We saw DTS come out with some crazy comp. We saw Vikings on Dragon Star. It's not out of the ordinary, old school wise, but were you guys prepared for something like that, a strategy like that?
Well, we we kind of figured that they were going to cheese of some kind, because when we scrimmed them, they just did a lot of really weird stuff, and it's really hard to prepare for, so we weren't really sure what to expect. We picked the map D-Shar, and that was part of the reason we picked it, was because we didn't think there was that much stuff that they could do that would catch us off guard. Vikings was one of the things we thought of, but we didn't really expect them to actually pick it on that map.
All right, well, we moved into game number 2, and we saw Twilight Dream Malfurion. Right before you said something, you said that was a TNC special. Explain to me that pick and that heroic.
Well, I asked, we were talking with Tiger, me and Tiger were discussing what support we wanted. We were kind of debating between going like Karazim 7s, and, well, that was my idea of what we should do, and he thought Malf would be good there. And we weren't really sure what alt we were going to go. Like, I asked him at the start of the game, and he's like, we'll see. And it ended up being the Dream, so.
It was the Dream. Now, take me through that last moment on the core. Now, obviously, that was a tense moment. You guys survived with 2%. Kalaris is here, so we know it's always a possibility. But what's the call, and how tense is that moment for you guys behind the scenes?
Well, I was dead, so I was pretty much just doing whatever I could, which was basically just like feeding information and calling like who should be focusing. Like I was literally just screaming Prismat, Prismat, Prismat until he died, and then he died, and then I was on to the next one. But I had about 4 seconds to respawn, and my team's kind of like, oh no, like it's over, and I'm like, it's not over, like, so I'm respawning with shield and blind, and then we just barely managed to do it. And the last time we played here, it was against Gul'dan's game, which is a similar roster to this. It's like the predecessor. And we had I think it was a 2% core, 1% core against them too, so it's a little like payback, I guess.
All right, well, heading into the next series, you're going up against Murloc Geniuses, the defending champions. How do you guys feel that you're going to fare moving forward, and do you think it's a possibility we're going to be seeing you moving on to Sunday?
Yeah, I hope so. I think that we learned a lot from playing them the first time, and I think we have a really good chance. Like, I'm pretty confident that if we improve on what we made mistakes on the last time, that we'll be able to pull out the win.
All right, well, best of luck to you guys. But, guys, we are going to go to a quick break, so we'll be right back with TNC versus Murloc Geniuses.